Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, hi, my name's Sophie, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my gymnastics career. In this video, I'm just going to go through the timeline of my gymnastics career. I'm going to try to stay away from, I guess, the darker topics in elite gymnastics that have been addressed in the media at the moment. For me, it was quite a hard time for a while there, and I suffered a lot in the sport, but I'll try to not really talk about that much today. I might do a separate video on that if that's what you want, I guess. As much as there is so much negativity surrounding elite gymnastics, there is obviously a lot of positives that come with it, and gymnastics was my first true love. So, you know, I'm going to keep it light and bubbly, talk about the amazing friendships that I made, the experiences, what I've taken out of it, and yeah. So I started gymnastics at about 7 years old. I was in year 2, and my mum got a call from my teacher wanting to discuss, I guess, putting me into gymnastics to help with my gross motor skills, and that's how I got into the sport. So I remember my first day at the gym, I saw the high beams, and there was this really high beam, and I was like, I want to walk on that. So I got up on the beam and just started walking on my tippy toes, and the head coach of that gymnastics came over and was like, have you done this before? And I was like, no, not in this lifetime anyway. And yeah, I guess from there, I had a bit of a natural flair, ability or talent for the sport. But I think the biggest thing for me was just my passion for the sport. At such a young age, I was completely engrossed in it. It was everything I did and everything I thought about, and my determination to just be the best at everything, I think, was the thing that really made me stand out from the crowd at that age. So I remember maybe a year after I started training, I went to my first ever competition in Darwin, and I didn't win, or I didn't, get a medal or anything, and it broke my heart. I remember, specifically remember the time, and I told my mom, in tears, I was like, I am never losing again. And I kind of made it my mission to win every single competition I went to from that point on. I was really lucky because my first coach, her name was Catherine Bolton, was probably one of my best coaches I ever had. She was just as passionate and determined as I was for myself and other gymnasts, obviously. And without her as a coach, I don't think I would have ever got to the level that I did. At about age 12, I went to my first interstate competition. It was down in Canberra, and it was called Reach for the Stars. It was at that competition that I think it was the head coach of the national team noticed me and asked me to come and do a trial. So I did a 3-month trial, and 2 weeks into that I got asked to stay for 6 months, and then another few weeks it was a year, and before I knew it I'd moved down to Canberra. So my family couldn't up and leave and relocate straight away, so my grandma actually came down with me and stayed there for I think the first 6 months with me, so that was super nice. So once I was there and I was training, we trained 7 hours a day most days, and so we did 4 hours in the morning, and then we went to school for I think 4 hours, and then we went back to gym for 3 hours in the afternoon. So that's what we did from Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday we just did a 4-hour session, and then Sunday was the day of rest. Thank God. With only doing 4 hours of school a day, I obviously did miss out on I guess the normal kind of life growing up, and I didn't really make too many friendships at school or outside of gym. But the friendships that I made in the gym were incredible, and I still have friendships with these girls to this day because it's a complete different world. They're not like friends, they're almost like sisters, and yeah, I cherish those friendships so much. It's actually funny because with the girls that I became friends with when I was still training in Darwin, I was fangirling over these girls. One of my closest friends, her name is Marianne Moncton, and I remember when I went to that competition for the first time, I made her sign my t-shirt. I was literally fangirling over this girl. And my first day training at the Institute of Sport, she was there, and I was hyperventilating inside but acting like a cool cucumber. So yeah, it's really funny that the girls that I became friends with, I was actually like low-key obsessed with before I even went to the gym. So with the training, with the amount of hours and being so young, you know, growing, you're going through puberty, there are injuries. I've broken my arm, dislocated finger, broken a toe, subluxed my shoulders many of times. I fractured the growth plate on the knee. What else have I done? Oh, I ruptured all the ligaments in my ankle. So I know that maybe some of you won't understand this skill when I say it, but it was, for those gymnasts out there, the skill was flip, layout, layout. When I came down from the second layout, I hit the corner of the beam, and basically I came off and I looked down and there was a huge hole in my leg, and I thought, I've just taken this big chunk out of my leg. But what had actually happened is the skin from the impact had just rolled all the way up, and yeah, gross. But I came off the beam and I looked down and I was in shock, and my coach was like, get back on the beam, get back on the beam, get back on the beam. She was yelling at me from across the gym, and I was like, I can't. And I was trying to, because I was in shock, I was trying not to cry and trying to tell her, no, I can't do it anymore. And I was trying to also hold my leg up. And then it was all just white, and then there was like a blue vein that was running through it. And then all of a sudden it was like, and this big, thick, dark red blood just started streaming down my leg. It was gross. But anyway, that injury was probably one of my worst injuries because, like I said, it kept me out of the sport for 60 days. It got infected twice. I couldn't do anything. It was just horrible. Another injury that was unfortunate was my stomach muscles. So I was down at the Institute of Sport training for Worlds. I think it was 2010 or 2011, and I was actually probably at one of my highest points in my training. I was in with a very good chance to make that Worlds team, and I was doing a vault one day, and that was what I was best at, and I just for some reason couldn't land, and I couldn't figure it out. Normally you can feel when something's off with either your run or your push or anything, but nothing felt off to me, and I just couldn't figure it out. I remember I had a bit of a pain in my stomach, and I was like, that can't be the reason, that can't be the reason. And I had to actually leave World's trials and go back home because turns out I'd torn my stomach muscles and could not twist, to save my life. I could not do this skill. So that was quite unfortunate. But I guess the biggest injury that everyone keeps asking about is my back. What happened is I actually got stress fractures. So it started as stress reactions. I don't remember when my stress reactions started, but it was quite young. And then the overuse and the training basically turned it into stress fractures. And that's why I was out of the sport overnight, I guess. People ask me a lot if I could have got over the injury and, made a bit of a comeback. And I think, of course, anyone can get over an injury, anyone can overcome these issues. However, at that stage, I was so physically and mentally burnt out. I think I recognized that it was my time and I needed to move on in life. And yeah, it was, for me, there was a block there. There was a roadblock, and I could not see any way past it. And I'm very thankful that I did leave when I left, and I don't regret any decision I made with that. So that's a basic timeline of my gymnastics career. Like I said, today I don't want to get into the negatives and all the stuff that you see in the media that kind of are associated with elite gymnastics, but I do eventually want to come out and say my truth and hopefully help others, with the future of the sport. Moving on, I'm going to answer a few questions that I keep getting on Instagram in regards to my career. So let's do this. Was there a lot of pressure that was put on you? There was a lot of pressure, but to be honest, most of the pressure came from myself because I was always trying to push myself. A lot of people compare gymnastics to stick it. International gymnastics, like elite gymnastics, sorry, is nothing like stick it, but I guess more the national stream, it is a bit more like that, yeah. Oh, that's a good question. How did you manage your social life while training crazy hours? I didn't have a social life until I finished gymnastics, and I was very, very socially awkward, and I think that's probably why I'm a bit weird these days, to be honest. And do you think you would have gone on to Big Brother if you ended up going to the Olympics? Well, like they said a lot in the house, like they kept saying, while I was training for the Olympics, I used to watch Big Brother religiously and was obsessed. So I don't know, like I don't know if something different would have happened with my life, and I don't know, it was always something that I wanted to do. So regardless of going to the Olympics, I probably still would have tried. Okay, someone's asked, did you experience anything similar to Athlete A on Netflix? I think I'll talk about those kind of topics in a different video. My favorite apparatus, it always changed. Like, my favorite apparatus wasn't always the one that I was best at, because I actually started to really dislike doing vault, and that was my, special, that's what I was best at. It's really funny because towards the end of my career, my favorite apparatus was bars, but it was my worst apparatus out of all four. How many hours a week? I think it was about 37 hours a week that we trained. Alright guys, so I hope I have answered your questions in regards to my career and my training and the ins and outs of elite gymnastics. Like I said to you, I will film another video going into detail about the abuse, eating disorders and all that in elite gymnastics, but for now I just wanted to keep this video nice and light and fun. And gymnastics was my first ever love, so that's why I kind of wanted to make, a nice thing first. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you on my next one. Thanks, guys.